Alright, we're back out again today with the Kyosho Sand Master 2.0. Done a brushless conversion on it. We have a Rocket RC Surpass Hobby 3650 motor, 4350 kV with their 110 amp ESC. It's a censored system. I pretty much plan to run it only on 2S, but we'll probably give it a shot on 3S, even though it's really not supposed to. Just slightly over the RPM range for the motor, but it should be fine. So when I had it apart doing the upgrade, I discovered my drivetrain noise. This factory spur gear is just molded awful. Definitely why it sounded like there was rocks in the gearbox. So doing some research online, it does appear that GPM offers a replacement spur gear for this truck, made out of Delrin, much higher quality. I still have it on the stock spur gear right now, just in case it can't handle the power. Rather chew up that defective spur gear than the nice new Delrin one. And besides making noise, it was functional. I also added some shims to the rear arms. I don't know if you can see them on camera. About 1.5 millimeters of shims on both sides to take out the slop there was. Alright, we're going to start off with some speed runs on 2S and 3S, see how it holds up. And then if it all holds up, we'll throw the paddle tires back on it and hit the sand again. Alright, let's have some fun. A lot more punch with the new brushless system. She cooks now for only 2S. All right, let's see what we got. $35 miles an hour on 2S. Not bad at all. Let's mess around a little bit, see how it handles. A wheelie now. Steering was always pretty good in this truck. Buggy, whatever you want to call it. Let's see how the motor's holding up. A little warm, not bad at all. All right, gonna do an off-road speed test, 2S, see how she does. Bouncing around quite a bit. Suspension is so soft in this. All right, let's see what we got and see how hot the motor is. Oh, and the tire kind of came off. It uses like bead locks too. Motor's not that hot. 27 miles an hour in the grass. Not too bad. All right, let's go pop that tire back on the bead. All right, so another issue I'm discovering with this truck, The tires actually use a bead lock. They're not glued on. I've already had to put them back on twice. I guess the nice thing being bead lock is you could easily reassemble them, but glue would probably be stronger. Probably should swap those out. So considering they popped off on 2S, it definitely is probably going to pop off on 3S, but got to give it a shot. So let's do a 3S speed run. Not the best spot for a high speed run, but well, I guess that answers that question if the tires are going to hold up to 3S. All right, luckily it stopped in the grass. Let's see what we got. Both of them came undone. So 37 miles an hour. Might have to try again on a different day, get some better tires. I bet this thing's probably got close to 50 in it. I do have one other set of tires with me, the paddle tires. They are glued on. So let's hit up some sand, see how it does. All right, paddle tires on. We're back on 2S. We'll mess around on 2S most of the time, and then we'll do 1 or 2 passes on 3S, see how fast it is in the sand. All right, let's go. Much better than it was with the brush motor. Handling the rough sand pretty well too. Let's try a 60-foot drag time in the sand. .67 G, 21 miles an hour. So yeah, definitely not going to have the massive acceleration in the sand, but still not bad at all. Done better than some of the cars I have on asphalt. Probably better than this was stock on asphalt. I noticed this the last time I had it out too. The battery cover basically locks up when you drive it in the sand. Gets in everywhere. You got to take these screws out. For calling it the Sand Master, they should have thought of that, but all right, got it on 3S now. See how much of a difference that makes? Wheelies in the sand. I did kind of prep that launch area. All right, go a little easier on the launch. Try and keep the front wheels down. Nope, instantly flips over. I know sand's gonna be everywhere on this. Can barely get over half throttle. This thing's nuts. Right into the pole. Wish I had some real dunes around here. Doesn't get stuck as much with this power. Tires can balloon and dig a little deeper. When it was brushed, you definitely had to keep your momentum up, because because if you stopped, you had a good chance you were stuck. Definitely much more fun in the sand now. Let's see how hot that motor is. 3S, heavy load in the sand, paddle tires. It is pretty hot, but I could still hold my finger to it for a few seconds. Thumb a little longer, but let's let it cool for a second. Alright, so I had a blast out here with the Kyosho Sand Master 2.0. With the brushless system in it, it has a lot more power, a lot more fun. Getting 35 miles an hour on 2S is very impressive. Didn't really get a 3S speed run because the tires blew off. Even the paddle tires I got ended up blowing out before the end of the day. So definitely more of a Sand Master now with the extra power. Getting wheelies taken off in the sand is pretty cool. Big rooster tails behind it when it's going. A lot harder to control though. Front end's a lot lighter, can barely steer it. It'll plow a little bit, but let off the throttle and turn and then get back on the throttle again. Chassis held up to the extra power pretty well. Kind of figured I was going to strip the factory spur gear, but it held up. It is very loud. I'm sure there's some sand in there now. Sand gets everywhere, but very impressed with this Surpass Hobby Rocket RC motor and ESC. A lot of power. Held up to the 3S even though it's technically above the RPM the motor's rated at. Didn't get too hot considering I'm driving it through the sand on paddle tires. Wouldn't exactly call it a budget system, but it is a little cheaper than the Hobby Wing systems I like to use most of the time. But once again, for $100 for this model, I obviously have more into it now, but a lot of fun. Decent budget starter for someone. Alright, back out from the future. I couldn't just leave it off not doing a 3S speed run. Got home, was thinking about tires. I was using the paddle tires off my MJX 14210, so I figured I might as well use the actual tires off the MJX. A little bit wider, slightly taller, but should do the trick. Let's see what it does. See if we can keep the front end down. It's a little windy today. Hopefully that isn't causing problems. Try and drive straight will help. Probably going to be wheelie limited. All right, that actually was full throttle for a while there. I was off the throttle when it flipped. See what we got. Looks like we're on our wheels still. Kind of looks cool with those thicker tires on there, a little beefier. $48 miles an hour. So very impressive considering this started out at 20. Pretty good. Let's do an off-road speed test. All right, let's see what we got. "31 off-road in the grass." All right, thanks for watching.